I'm here with David Anderson, who's running for mayor. David, thank you so much for stopping by today.
I appreciate getting the time.
All right, let's get right started. First of all, why are you running to be Kalamazoo's next mayor?
I want to talk a little bit about the job first. Everyone may not know that in Kalamazoo, the mayor does not run the city. The mayor is one of 7 people on the commission and has 1 of 7 votes. So what does the mayor do? What's the power of the mayor in Kalamazoo? The power of the mayor is really in part being a cheerleader, talking about a vision, and pulling people together to support that vision. So I'm running because I believe 3 things are critically important to being mayor in Kalamazoo. One of them is having a deep understanding of our budget and the activities of the city and what the city can do and cannot do. I've been doing that for 14 years now on the city commission. Another piece of it is having wide and broad relationships in Kalamazoo, because a lot of what you're doing is convening and collaborating, and you need to have connections across neighborhoods, across between business and organized labor, between folks who represent different issues. I have those relationships. I think that's important also. And the last thing is this, Kyle, is that I think that the temperament, the approach is critically important, because you need to be a person who can bring people together, can reach across boundaries and divisions. And we're a bit of in a divided time right now. And I believe that for Kalamazoo to be successful, that's the approach we need to take. Work together with our experience, our expertise, and do the things that we want for Kalamazoo, which I think everyone wants us to be a great city.
Okay. What makes you qualified to serve in the role of mayor?
Answered some of that before, but I think the experiences I have had now for 30 years working to help Kalamazoo be a better place. I served as a president of a neighborhood association for 15 years. I had a lot of interaction with the city during that time. After that, ran for the city commission. I've been in the city commission for 14 years now. So I've had a lot of experience with budgets, with very particular, pragmatic decisions we have to make at the city. I've been at the city when we've been in some very tough times financially and navigated our way through that. I've also had the opportunity while at the city and also in my volunteer life to spend a lot of time leading on important issues and working with people in town to do that. That's what I think qualifies me for the job.
What is one thing that people may not know about you?
Oh, that's an interesting question. One thing that people may not know. I guess I will say this. I'm from Kalamazoo. I was born in Borges, and I grew up here, and I was actually in Kalamazoo in some challenging times. I sort of came of age during the 60s. That was a very tough time in our country, and I really became disgusted in a way with how we were responding and how I felt our country was responding to the issues of the day. So I left Kalamazoo, and I thought I was never going to come back. It was one of those things, you don't want to stay in your hometown, and I traveled to a lot of other places. I lived in Tennessee, I lived in Colorado. I was very involved in trying to seek a better place and a better way to live. And here's what I found out, that does not exist out there. If you want that, you have to create it where you are. And so I came back to Kalamazoo. I told Kalamazoo, see you later, and I came back a little over a decade later, and since that time I have spent my time doing this community building work that I looked for other places here in Kalamazoo.
What is the biggest challenge that the city is facing?
Here's what I think is the biggest challenge, and I want to lay a couple things under that. That is this, is that we are in a situation right now where I believe that even people who may agree on 95% of things are finding the 5% that they don't agree on. And I think that is partly driven by a couple things. The way we're communicating now, our social media, and also the fact that we also have found out that anger motivates more than generosity, unfortunately, when you're reacting to things on Facebook or things you hear in the news. I think the biggest issue is that we have to find a way, despite what is going on in our country or the world, to come together and find ways we agree to tackle big issues, like we have in Kalamazoo, ongoing challenges with poverty, what we're going to do related to how climate change may be affecting us here in Kalamazoo, making sure that we are creating a resilient community that doesn't leave anybody behind.
Okay. If elected, what would be your focus on day one?
My focus on day one is continuing to move forward our Imagine Kalamazoo plan. We just, this last week at our on Monday at our city commission meeting, we talked about we're 2 years in. That was the biggest community engagement the city of Kalamazoo has ever done. And that is going to continue. That's our brand at the city now, is community engagement. But we created a plan out of Imagine Kalamazoo. And that plan is now what we're putting into place. That has been my biggest single effort, is how we're moving that plan forward and how is that reflected in our 2020 budget.
What areas do you feel some of the current leaders have not put enough focus on?
So, I'm one of the current leaders. So what are some of the areas? I think some of the areas are that we need to reach some of the issues we've seen in Kalamazoo, and or more likely to see in Kalamazoo. Homelessness, for example, is not necessarily a city of Kalamazoo problem. And I think that the city needs to use its resources we have, but to work more closely with all jurisdictions in Kalamazoo County to help resolve this issue that is really something that's so concerning to all of us. It happens that all the shelters in Kalamazoo County happen to be in the city of Kalamazoo, but I think it's going to take a collaborative, cross-jurisdictional approach to solve the issue.
How do you see the city in the next 5 to 10 years?
I see the city being a place where people want to live. Right now, I saw 10 years ago, even 8 years ago, young people not necessarily wanting to be in Kalamazoo. Now I see people wanting to live in Kalamazoo, wanting to buy houses in Kalamazoo. I believe that if we continue to work together, and that if we continue to invest in this city, grow our tax base is what pays for our services. Property taxes are the lifeblood of any local municipality. That we're going to see a place that is more equitable, that is building out its infrastructure, that is a place where people want to be, where great things go on in our vibrant downtown, where neighborhoods are safe, and where we are building the kind of community that all of us want to live in.
All right, thank you very much, David. We appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you, Kyle. It's been great. Thanks.